All right. Well, welcome. This is our first ever nationwide Community Works Summit. And we had over 400 people register. So we're hoping to see most of those folks on the call tonight. We're going to start out just with an overview. And I will be first talking a little bit about the Rural Urban Bridge Initiative, also called RUBI. So many of you already have had some kind of interaction with RUBI, and that's why you're here. But I will do just a very brief introduction of that. And then our executive director, Anthony Flaccavento, will be speaking more to that later in the program. Then I'll do a very in-depth description of Community Works. And if you've been to one of the introductory sessions that we've done in the past, some of those slides may look a little bit familiar, but hang in there because we have some exciting new videos, 3 videos talking about the who, what, why of Community Works that our local chapters and local volunteers have helped to create, along with Derek Von Kundra, who helped to put the whole thing together. So big shout out to everybody involved with that. Then we will hear from Wendy Davis with the Democratic National Committee about collaborating with Community Works. Then we get to hear from Anthony Flaccavento about how Community Works fits in with RUBI overall, and especially with our Going Beyond Resistance campaign. At that point, we'll switch back to hearing from our local coordinators who are all going to be facilitating one of our breakout sessions. And I'm going to go ahead and show those to you now. Those are going to be forming a chapter, building a leadership team, identifying project partners, building collaborations, jumpstarting first projects, finding common ground, promotion and mobilization with print and social media, and then recruiting and keeping volunteers. And it will be Sarah Finn, Chanel Carr, Heather Vaughn, Rachel Gaines, and then RUBI's new communications director, Ariella Thornhill, will be describing what's going to be in each of their sessions. So again, these are the different choices. Please go ahead and put in the chat which one you would like to be a part of so we can go ahead and get those divided up. Then after we do the breakout sessions, which will be about 30 minutes each, so there'll be plenty of time to ask questions pretty much about all parts of community works. 4 of the 5 people who are leading them are on the ground and can answer pretty much anything you'd like to know about us. And then we'll come back for some final words and inspiration to go forwards. So I'm going to start into that general, very brief description of RUBI, and Anthony will be talking more about it later. Okay, the Rural Urban Bridge Initiative, we got going in 2021 with the 3 pillars of thinking, talking, and acting differently, very much in response to the 2020 election, because as of 2022, 2 in 3 rural voters were very unhappy with the Democratic Party. And in 2024, that only increased, as you can see from the map up to the right there. And it wasn't just in rural areas. It was pretty much across the board in all different geographic areas, and then also across socioeconomic lines as well. This is just one example of the shift in the Black, Hispanic, and Asian communities from 2012 to 2024. So RUBI firmly believes that in order to do anything about any of this, we actually have to understand what's going on and what brought us to this point. And so the first thing that RUBI started doing were these rural urban divide trainings across the country. So far we've done over 90 trainings with 4,300 participants, 2/3 of those being with Democratic committees. And the trainings provide a venue for us to really, truly listen to rural and working class voices and concerns, to come to appreciate the strengths and challenges of rural areas, to acknowledge that both major parties have failed rural communities. And yes, Biden did more in 4 years than the past 5 administrations combined. but we do have to recognize that those 5 previous administrations included both Democrats and Republicans. And we also ask people to begin to recognize our own bias and stereotypes and how those, can play into all of this. So sometimes those stereotypes and biases are even stronger among us that live in rural communities. And one of the studies that RUBI lifts up shows us that college graduates, and so I'll include myself as I talk about this, are unabashed in our bias against those less educated than ourselves, and that we tend to be far more prejudicial than other groups about people whose ideological views diverge from our own. And so RUBI asks us to consider, instead of asking the question, why do those people vote against their own self-interest, which I hear every single day in the work that I do in my community, RUBI poses it this way. Why do so many people in the countryside see liberals and Democrats as being against their best interests and dismissive of their needs, values, and priorities? In terms of talking differently, we have a whole workshop around this, and Erica Edelson, one of our co-founders, is in the room, and hopefully at some point you'll go to one of those workshops, but I'm just going to sum it up with talk like a neighbor, not an activist, which brings me to my own personal journey as to how I came to embrace the community works approach. I grew up in DeKalb County, Georgia. Used to be red, now it's true blue. So I've had plenty of urban experience that's right outside of Atlanta. But then as a young adult, I chose to move to southwestern Virginia, about 50 miles from where my family settled in the 1700s. And so in the 40 years that I've lived in southwestern Virginia, I spent 20 years of that organizing in Appalachian communities around issues of poverty, race and racism, and oppression of women. And then I had a child, and I got very involved in our local school system, and I helped to found a nonprofit that works on health and wellness for kids. In that process, I've been working alongside my neighbors, my conservative neighbors, to help our kids for those 15, now probably 20-something years. And I've also sat on the hard benches watching our sons play, run track and play basketball together for all those years, again, next to my conservative neighbors. And then what I call the great estrangement of 2016 happened. And suddenly I didn't feel as comfortable sitting next to those neighbors, knowing that they voted differently from me. And it began to feel like a whole different America and different values. And at that point, I decided that I needed to also be doing electoral organizing. And so I got involved with a congressional campaign, just happened to be Anthony Flaccavento's campaign in 2018. I was a field director for that. We did everything right. We held 100 town halls. This picture here is Senator Mark Warner at one of them. And we had an excellent candidate. But despite all of that, we lost, and we lost pretty badly. And so many of us in that campaign, including Anthony, all kind of pulled in to regroup and say, well, what do we need to be doing differently? Obviously, we did everything right, but we still need more. For me, that meant becoming the chair of my local Democratic committee. This picture is about 3 months into my chairship, and that's 4 times as many people as were coming when I had first started. And a big reason for that is because I started having our committee started doing community works type activities. The reason for that is because I had been in conversation with Anthony all that time, and he was, along with Erica and several others, were co-founding RUBI. And they had come up with this wonderful idea called Community Works. And the question posed was, can doing non-political community work, but doing it visibly as groups of Democrats, liberals, and progressives, make an actual political difference? And the goals of the projects were to rehabilitate the Democratic brand, to rebuild trust, and to improve community views towards Democrats. At the same time, Michael Moore was doing a podcast called A Blue Dot in a Red Sea. And he had one episode where the refrain throughout the episode was, need help? Call a Democrat. And I just love that, because for me, that's what I want us to be in my community and what we used to be seen as. So I got hired as the national director of the Community Works program. And we took off in Virginia and Georgia in 2023 and 24. These are the courageous Democratic committees that signed on from the beginning. Collectively, we came up with this way to describe what we do. This is the who, the what, and the why. And I'm not going to read them because we now have 3 videos where our people on the ground are speaking to each of these areas. Who we are.
CWorks volunteer.
And I'm Regina Moore, also a CWorks volunteer.
So together we chose to be a part of the CWorks community because we believe in impacting lives one home at a time.
And also spreading the good news of what's going on in our community to get people more involved. Thank you, CWorks.
I'm Mike Patton. I think the best thing about Community Works, in my opinion, is helping each other, and it's a lot of fun. I specialize in ESP, extra special people, and every one of our events is a blast. So I encourage you to get involved.
I'm Rhonda Morrison, and I'm from Hart County. I participate in a lot of events at Community Works. I joined because I enjoy it. I love helping people.
Hi everyone, my name is Garrett Maurer, and I'm from the frozen north, Moorhead, Minnesota, Clay County. And I'm the chair of our local Community Works chapter.
Hi guys, I work along with Community Works for Heart. My name is Kylie, and I just want to say that I appreciate Community Works so much because I've watched them really pour their hearts and soul into Hartwell in general.
Morning, my name's Chip Taggart. I'm a resident of Page County, Virginia, and a member of the leadership team of Community Works of Page. When we first started, we had to knock on doors to convince people that our volunteer support would be helpful to them. Now people are coming knocking on our doors, and we have a full slate of work going on. We started with just a handful of volunteers. We now number 55, ranging in ages from 17 to 78, which is me, and also independents, Republicans, and Democrats who have become disengaged in politics.
Hi, my name is Kenya from Jenkins County, Millen, Georgia. Community Works have impacted this great community of mine because it shows that no matter what party, no matter what color, no matter what community, kindness, volunteerism, and just pure love is universal. Community Works gives everyone, even you, an opportunity to give back to your community. But hey, the name itself explains it all.
Lord have mercy. Alive in the building. I dance my dance up. You ready? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Hit me one time. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground.
Thank you to all our wonderful volunteers. We're going to get to hear from them 2 more times in that way. And also a shout out to Rachel and Hart County for the idea for the song Boots on the Ground. I just want to recap in case you didn't see those big banners going across at the beginning. We've had over 600 volunteers participate in over 400 events, and probably we estimate that we put in close to 4,000 volunteer hours in doing so. At this point, I want to really highlight the whole idea of the 500 community collaborations, because that has been with all these different entities and the communities that would not have worked with us directly as a Democratic committee or an indivisible chapter, but because we came to them under the banner of Community Works, then we end up on the same flyer, with the Page Cooperative Farm Bureau plus the Page County Democrats. So those have been with churches, civic groups, VFW posts, town councils, community action agencies, even a sheriff's department. And Heather Vaughn from Scott County is now going to talk to us about a special collaboration they've had in there.
So I first learned about the Red Cross Sound the Alarm events when Sharon Dixon with the Southwest Virginia Red Cross reached out to our Community Works group, and I think she is on this evening. I hope so. Anyways, these events provide free smoke alarms that have a 10-year battery life, along with crucial information on fire safety and the importance of homeowners and renters insurance. So Sharon and her team came in, did a brief training with our volunteers on how to install the smoke alarms and present residents with these life-saving resources. This project allowed some individuals to use their handy skills with a drill, while others were able to use their engaging personalities while talking with the residents. We also got to learn from them about their disaster action team, and how to become a volunteer with that. And those people actually go out in times of crisis, such as house fires and stuff, to help them receive emergency assistance.
Thank you, Heather. An amazing collaboration with the American Red Cross. And now here's what we do.
And we're back here along the banks of the South Fork of the Shenandoah River, and we're talking with Sarah Finn, the coordinator of a new local group called Community Works. Is it focused on any one segment of the community, or is it just kind of wide open?
It is pretty open. We really want to serve our other communities and our organizations by helping them as well to do this good effort in Page County.
Have you reached out to groups?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started out, we really wanted to focus on a needs assessment. So we reached out to community members, to other organizations saying, hey, what can we do to help you serve our community better?
Okay.
Of many Community Works activities that I participated in, I'd love to share 3 with this group. Number 1, helped a group, Churches United for the Homeless in Moorhead. We actually sorted a donation of shoes for kids and adults. Then with our local Democratic chapter, we did an Adopt a Highway where we went and cleaned a stretch of highway in a local community. And then finally actually helped out by tabling at an Indigenous Peoples powwow here in Moorhead, celebrating all of the great things that our neighbors do.
Good morning, Community Works family. My name's Heather. I'm the local coordinator here in Scott County, and we are out at the food line in Gate City, Virginia today, helping and volunteering with APCA on their 9/11 Memorial Food Drive.
We're collecting food, non-perishable food items for our local food pantry that we work with every month, and Food Line also partners with them as well.
So this past weekend, we did our community wellness initiative. And when they got in the house, they found that individual lying on the floor had a seizure. And so it just reminded me of how important, our different initiatives are in our community. It may seem small to some, but they're really important because that saved a life, And
the most enjoyable moment we've had was the Easter thing where we had the kids. All the kids came around, they enjoyed themselves. And I also like the senior center where we go and dance with them and give out prizes and play bingo. And I think it is a good addition to the community because it's helping people. People put a smile on people's face. They enjoy it. They love when we come around. They ask questions. They get involved. They want to get involved. They want to know more.
All together now. 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 Say
So going back to Page County that the video started with and also CWorks started with, we want to lift up a more recent project that they've done. I think Skip Halpern is on here to talk about this.
Yes. Thanks, Meredith. Yeah, Skip Halpern from Page County. We did 2 recent projects on healthcare, and both were a broad-based public concern. First, we worked as volunteers at what was called RAM, which stands for the Remote Area Medical, which came to our community. And that's a nonprofit that some of you might know, provides free medical services, including dental and vision care, through traveling pop-up clinics across many states. And you might check out their website, ramusa.org, to see if they're coming soon to a theater near you, as they say. Secondly, we put together a discussion panel on the impact of cuts to Medicaid and the ACA on residents in Page County. And this was strictly informational. It was not partisan. The first panelist was from the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and he explained how the recent changes to Medicaid and ACA will result in fewer people getting health care coverage. And the second and third panelists were from the local hospital and a nonprofit that provides counseling services to people suffering problems with substance use. And they explained how the results, the impact of fewer people covered will mean less revenues to their organizations, which in turn will mean less services that they can provide to our residents. So both of those dealt with something of broad public concern. It was very non-political, and it was a visible demonstration of Democrats trying to inform people.
Thank you, Skip. And finally, why we do it.
And we sometimes think that those up in Washington, they're clueless about what we're dealing with here. And so we just did not pay attention. So now we're more alert and more aware of what's going on around us, and we're paying attention. So now we're advocating it, and we're actually getting out there and, doing some work to make a difference. And one thing that I always tell myself is, if you want to see change, you got to be the change that you want to see. So you want to see a difference in your community, and that means that you need to do something different. And so that's what we're doing.
Hello, this is Charlie Jones. I'm the chair of the Wythe County Democratic Committee. We've had so many people who are new to Wythe County or who had never been involved with partisan politics before, who were able to get engaged with approachable local volunteer activities, and seeing fellow Democrats working on trying to address real issues locally really spurred them to want to get involved. And now we have a lot of those very same people who are very active in our local committee and who are doing the bulk of our volunteer work.
Before being involved with Community Works, I was so disengaged. Community Works have brought so much awareness to me. It gives me an opportunity to give back, but it also has given me the opportunity to want to be a part of something way bigger than myself. It caused me to join JCDC. It has caused me to want to be involved more. It caused me to meet other community work volunteers from different communities. To some, it may be boring, but to me, it's building our future. It's building a bond amongst people that you can help others, whether you want to be a Democrat or not. Community Works is for our community, and believe me, it works.
I believe Community Works has been such a great addition to our county because it provides a easy way for people to get involved that maybe didn't know where to start or didn't have people to participate with. And from everything I've seen for volunteering, those seem to be the 2 items that most people get stuck on. They either don't know who to talk to or how to even begin or find activities, and they don't know that they'll have somebody to go with. And even if you don't know the person, but you both have the same t-shirt on, that can bring a lot of community and comfort for people that might not have otherwise participated. And that's why I'm so happy to participate and help lead Community Works, because I believe it can help bring us all together and start those conversations and build that community that we all need in person, doing great work in our communities.
So hopefully all of you have written down your takeaways, but I'm just going to briefly share a couple of mine. Again, over 600 volunteers, and listening to Chanel and Charlie and Kenya and Garrett, you know, those include people who have been totally non-political, never thought their voices would matter, to uninvolved Dems who, you know, weren't willing to do the canvassing or the phone calls, but found a new way that they could give to their committees and give to the work, to disengage young adults. Kenya also started a Young Dems chapter, the first ever in her county. And then to people craving community and needing that in order to then put themselves out there, to do good and also to stand up for good. 400 events, all kinds, you know, so people of all interests and all skills can find a place again to engage, addressing issues that are common to all of us. Using RUBI's Skip F approach, which I'll be talking about in my breakout group: simple, concrete, immediate, public, and frequent events. And then I think one of the most important things is those 500 collaborations, where we're reaching out to more than the, you know, indivisible groups or the usual people we can connect with. Many times those folks were surprised that we reached out. Sometimes we were surprised that they were willing to work with us. And again, just getting to, we can all work together. And this is one last example from the New River Valley chapter that I'm part of. We did a gun lock distribution, and we did it in cooperation with a national group called Be Smart, and then with a New River Valley-wide group called the Gun Aware Project. Montgomery County Democratic Committee were the ones who were out trying to find the volunteers to set up these tables at the open school open houses. And I was there in my t-shirt and under the Community Works banner and talked to all my very, you know, conservative neighbors. Again, it's an extremely conservative district, about guns, because they were stopping and saying, yeah, I've got a gun safe. Yeah, I'll take a lock. You know, having wonderful conversations, because we didn't start with policy. We started with common ground. And in the bottom there, it just shows I got invited to then go to a big, the high school festival that was going to be in the park the next week to set up a table. So speaking of collaborations, then we now get to hear from Wendy Davis, who is, again, part of the Rural Council of the Democratic National Committee. She's vice chair of the DNC Southern Caucus. She's part of the Rules and Bylaws Committee, and she was a two-term elected city commissioner in Rome, Georgia. So I'm going to stop sharing and let you take it away, Wendy.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Meredith and Anthony and the whole RUBI team. I am a longtime Democratic Party activist and community leader, and it's my pleasure to be a voice of welcome and collaboration on behalf of the party. We have a lot of work to do as a party, and I want to thank so many people who are on this event tonight who are active and engaged Democrats in their local community. And those of you who don't necessarily choose to identify as Democrats, I want you to be happy to soon. But we have a lot of work to do, as they said, to rebuild the trust, right? And to do a better job of listening and communicating. I had the pleasure, gosh, it was probably 3 years ago now, Anthony, of coming to one of the trainings in Northeast Georgia. I live over in Northwest Georgia, and just loved everything I heard, because collaboration could be my middle name. It's what I love to do. I love bringing people together. I loved being a local elected official, because you really do get to make things happen. You're not just talking, you're getting work done. And as Democrats, I think we fell away from that. I hear of a time when it used to be, you need help, call the Democratic Party, right? We would give away turkeys at the holidays, and we really were organized down to the block, right? Of helping each other. And to me, that's what community is about. I've been delighted to see this organization grow and thrive. I enjoyed learning from Meredith about the Community Works program. And that is like, it's 100% spot on what you're doing, getting real people to have real conversations. Gosh, I love what you said earlier. Talk like a neighbor, not like an activist. I say it all the time. Don't talk like we're at a committee meeting on the Hill, right? I have, I mean, we can't, that's what we do too much of. We don't do enough listening. The criticisms are real. You know, what we have to do is connect with people. I had an experience similar to Anthony's in that I ran for Congress. I did that in 2022 against a woman who I'm not a fan of, who I won't say her name, but many of you know her initials. And the thing that was the most disheartening wasn't even her mess. It was my own colleagues in the Democratic Party, primarily the city folks, not the people who live in the rural areas, who said, what's the point? What's the point of even talking to the people you live around? They're all, none of them are going to listen to you. You're not going to change their minds. And that's what's wrong. We have to talk to each other. We have to work together. Yes, there are a sliver of people who we're never going to be able to reach, who, you know, pick a phrase, they drank the Kool-Aid, and they're not necessarily going to be reachable. But the vast majority of the people, even in a bright red area, as we call it, where I live, they want our community to thrive. They want their children to get a great education. They want their kids to grow up, maybe go to college, maybe go to trade school, but they want their kids to come back home and raise those grandkids there. That's what everybody wants. Black, white, purple, polka dotted, rural, urban. That's what so many people want. And for us to get together and work together and be a community, we've got to talk to each other. So I'm thrilled with the work that RUBI does and with Community Works. And I'm just delighted to be here to cheerlead and encourage you and thank all the people who were involved. In particular, there was a whole bunch of Georgia folks in those videos. And earlier I saw Rachel and Jerry and Kenya and Dr. Shoemake and Daisy from Georgia. So thanks to all the Georgians who are making me as a party leader proud by doing the good work that more of us should be doing. So
Great.
I'm going to stay
Thank
around and
you.
help with one of the breakouts later, but just real proud of y'all.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much. Now I have the great honor to introduce Anthony Flaccavento, RUBI's executive director. I've known Anthony since back in the 80s when we were doing organizing work together in Appalachian communities, and he's since run for Congress and done a million other good things, but most recently as a co-founder and executive director of this amazing effort that now we're all part of. So Anthony.
Thanks, Meredith. Wendy, that was so well said. And I got to say, those videos were great. This whole gathering is great. You know, look at what our lives have become in the political realm. It's kind of a gigantic race to see how we can find the worst in people we disagree with. Every day, we're trying to find the flaw in what they said. We're trying to just crucify people who are different from us. And my goodness, if Community Works isn't the precise opposite of that and the antidote to that, I don't know what is. So what I want to say is that RUBI, many of you know, has been working on this pretty big job of overcoming what divides us, rural, urban, red, blue, et cetera, for 3.5 years. Of late, we launched a campaign just a couple of months ago called Beyond Resistance, because we think that as important as it is to fight against some of the catastrophic changes that are happening in our country, it's also important to be able to put forward a positive vision and a plan of action that does more than just focuses on what's wrong. That's what Beyond Resistance is about. It's about actually bringing people together from the local level on up to national policy debates to say, yeah, we got problems. Yeah, we don't like what's happening now, but we've got to build a system that's better than what we had before. We can't just fight to save what we have. That's important, but we've got to do more than that. We've got to build a system that actually works, that actually helps everyday people, working people, farmers, small businesses to make a living without having to kill themselves. We've got to be able to do this. That's what the Beyond Resistance campaign is about. At the foundation, it's about rebuilding trust, because that's what we've lost. We have millions of people who mistrust anybody who's outside of their immediate sphere. I do not know of anything else going on in this country that is more effective at getting things done, number one, and rebuilding trust, number two, than Community Works. And that's why Community Works is one of the 4 legs of our Beyond Resistance campaign. We can talk better. We can stop getting caught up in academic language and activist talk and talk better. We can put forward much better policy that really focuses on working people and everyday folks. Those are critical, but if they're not built on a foundation of trust, they'll only go so far. Trust is the key, and Community Works is one of the most effective ways to rebuild it. So I'm thrilled to be here on the first ever National Community Works Summit, because I think this is going to be a sea change for our politics in this country. Thanks.
Thank you, Anthony. Sort of speaking to what Anthony was saying, our on the ground way of rebuilding that trust is to build these Community Works chapters. And to do that, we need to build strong volunteer leadership teams, collaborate with existing groups and projects in the community, create new projects where needed, build our volunteer base across the political spectrum with Democrats, independents, moderates, non-engaged, and even Republicans, and magnify the work through local and social media and the different breakout groups that we have that I think we're going to open up the chat again, that if you haven't yet signed up for one, please do that immediately, are going to speak to all those different areas of the work. So the people facilitating are now going to talk about each one. The first one is mine, about forming a local chapter and building that leadership team. And I just wanted to show you that, we started out with 4 different chapters, and now we're growing. We've got this many. There you go. The bigger version of it, this many different chapters across the country, and then we've building the ones we have. This is back to Page County to over 100 volunteers and continuing to grow. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in my breakout session. Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm the local coordinator with Page County. And in my breakout session, we are going to be identifying project partners and building collaborations. So we'll cover a couple different things. The community questionnaire that you heard me speak about in that video clip earlier, engaging with local community leaders and other nonprofits, characteristics of good partners, not only them, but us as well. And then I'll try to cover as many questions as I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, Chanel and Heather will be leading this session.
Hi, I'm Chanel Carr, Community Works for Jenkins in Georgia. So this session is simply going to be about just getting started, taking that first step towards serving your community in a meaningful way. The thing about it, this session is going to explore how to identify community needs, how to find common ground with others who care, and to design simple, impactful projects that make a difference. So get ready to open your heart, share your ideas, and discover how we can turn compassion into action.
Thank you, Chanel. All right, Ariella.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ariella Thornhill, and I am the Communications Director for RUBI. I'm going to be talking about promotion and mobilization through media. We're going to talk about why social media matters for CWorks and maybe for the people on social media who don't get that kind of positive community messaging that can really help shift the narrative and the feelings towards this work. We're going to talk about some basics about what, where, and when to post, how to schedule, general guidelines, and then I'm going to go through what each platform is best used for, and then present some free resources to anybody who's interested in making the most of their social media presence.
Sounds fantastic, Ariella. Rachel.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Well, evening, I'm sorry. I'm Rachel Gaines. I'm the local coordinator for Hart County in Georgia. And my title is Recruitment and Retention of Volunteers. And I'm basically going to talk about sharing ideas and getting inspiration for building and maintaining strong volunteer teams. And also undertake what begins with volunteerism that begins with people who care. And we're just going to basically learn how to keep that spirit alive.
Thank you, Rachel. So here again are the 5 different breakout rooms. Yeah, so a lot of questions, a lot of your questions about community works will get answered in the breakout rooms. And again, the folks who are doing them know it backwards and forwards. So rest assured, you'll get your questions answered there. So this is more for questions for Wendy and for Anthony, and then again, just clarifying questions. Sarah, are you seeing any questions that are in the chat? Or if anyone has a question, if they can use the icon to raise their hand, or just raise your hand, but it's hard to see all of you. There's so many people. Okay, Susan, CJ.
Hi, everyone. I sort of happened upon this call. I mean, not this call, but this organization. And I am retired, but intensely active in Durham, North Carolina, with protest and all kinds of things. I mean, planning. I also grew up in rural Iowa, in Western Iowa, and spent a lot of my time in northern Minnesota. So I got on this call and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And wow, this is amazing to me. I mean, my strength is bringing people together and bridging gaps. So I'm in North Carolina. I don't know this state as well. I spent a lot of time in New York, but I'm excited. I'm excited about what you guys are doing. Thank you.
This is great to hear. Thank you. Mary Newman up there. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Claire, Alameda, California. I'm with All Rise Alameda. I'm actually going to sign off and I'm not going to be able to go into a group meeting. I really look forward to being in this because the little I know of you, the little I could hear, I'm very, very interested in it. It all is on the right track. I came to you through Andrea Miller's Reclaim Our Vote Center for Common Ground group.
Yes.
Anything she says, I follow. At this moment, we are getting ready at 6 o'clock for a big mass mobilization call because there's supposed to be 100 federal agents going to San Francisco tomorrow. So I would say for my rural friends, if you will support us in this urban area with that, and I look forward to hearing more about what you're doing. I've told everybody that this is the group that we really want to get involved with. So I assume we'll get more resources and a video or whatever link and things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
There'll be all sorts of follow-up.
Yeah, so thanks very much, and I'll catch up with you later.
Thank you. Thank you, and good luck.
Bye.
Thanks for doing that. Kathleen.
Hey there. So if we don't have a local chapter, is that where to start, or really all of this looks relevant and is that the spot to start?
Yeah, I would love for you to be in that and learn how you could start a local chapter, but really any of the groups are going to be giving you that, the information that you can start with.
Fantastic.
So, okay. All right, Jackie. Oh, shout out to Jackie. She's the one who's doing all the behind the scenes stuff along with Jean Manny. I'm not seeing Jean up there, but along with Jean Manny. Big shout out to them, as well as our note takers, which are Alex and Anna and Erica and Jerry, and Anthony's going to be in one taking notes. So thanks so much to all our note takers.
Meredith, just real quick, there's one comment in the chat from D saying, I'm out here in Western Colorado and don't think anything in this area is going on, so don't know which group to plug into. I would just encourage D and anybody else who feels like they're kind of isolated and don't see anything happening to, at a minimum, reach out to Meredith or myself or somebody, because whether you decide to form a Community Works chapter or something else, we can help you get plugged in and have some things to do locally.
Absolutely. And there were tons of people that signed up from Colorado for this, Dee. So we need to get you connected with them. Again, just reminding you of the things that got said. I'm sure you have things to add to this. I'd love anybody who has thoughts after this. I'm a processor. I always want to process stuff, so anything you want to say about this and send to me by email, I would love to hear it across the board. So I hope you'll do that. And I added at the bottom here that I think that one of the most beautiful things I'm seeing happening with Community Works is that, our goal was to improve the views of people in rural areas towards Democrats and liberals and progressives. But what I'm really seeing is that it's also helping us as Democrats and liberals and whoever who feels isolated within or from other folks in our community to actually start getting involved and having a new appreciation for our neighbors and for our communities. So it's really working both ways all the way around. And that was something I was saying in my breakout group as well, that also, if you're trying to figure out, well, why would I want to get involved in this network? There's a lot of resources that RUBI has to offer for chapters, ranging from a lot of staff support, a lot of networking, to ultimately to some financial support. But also think about what you can give to the network. I mean, what you can do for your country, right? So think about that too as you're considering this. I'm going to go to my next slide. Okay, so people ask, what do you do to build a leadership team? Identify at least 4 others in addition to yourself and get them to one of these introductory sessions. This counts. So does many of you have been to various things that have been that, and you just need to get 4 other people to that. And then once you've got those 5 people, schedule a session with me and we'll talk about the agreement that we sign. Again, it's both ways. It's kind of a mutual what we want to achieve together. And I'll talk to you about that. You hopefully then sign on as a CWorks chapter, set monthly meetings of your leadership team, choose one consistent person to be our national contact person. We love all of you that have been coming to our local leader network meetings, begin to operate as a team. And then our goal is that every chapter move towards participating in at least 3 local events per month, whether that's you giving volunteers to other groups or whether you actually start organizing some of your own events. So that's just the first steps in forming a chapter that we wanted to make sure everybody got to see. In terms of the next time that people can come to an introductory session, our next one is going to be November 12th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. There's the link right there. And also here's my information, at least in my breakout group, people were asking for that. So Meredith at Rural Urban Bridge, and that's the RUBI website, and then the Community Works page. Also want to say that if you're not yet ready to form a chapter, or for whatever reason it doesn't make sense for you, there are other ways to help us. Spread the word through social media, through your own Facebook pages or whatever you're on, Instagram. Go and like Community Works's page, go and like RUBI's page. share it and invite others to follow it, and you follow it. Also, we'd love for you to advocate for us in all the networks you're part of. I know you are, from what at least happened in my group. So if you're on a National Indivisible call and there's a place where it's appropriate, speak up about what Community Works is doing or what RUBI's doing in general. Also, put it in the chat. In whatever all these things that are going on, and especially when people start talking about, well, how can we do more? How can, what do we do beyond protesting? And this is, again, I'm not saying don't protest, but what are the other things that people can be doing who are looking for more? And then also make personal introductions. If you want to introduce us to your local Democratic committee chair, or introduce the idea to Democratic committees in counties around you, or indivisible chapters, or any other groups you know of, please do that. Tell them about us, and then write an email that introduces me, Anthony, to those folks. So those are just some of the ways that everybody can participate, even if you're not yet ready to form a chapter. I'm going to come out of this, and Chanel, I'm going to hand the spotlight to you to kind of send us off. And thank you, everybody, for being here.
Wow. I hope that everyone feels the way I feel. This was an awesome summit, Meredith. Thank you for your hard work and everything that you do. I want to just say to everyone that you don't have to do everything, just do something. So as we close this summit, I want you to remember that lasting change starts with a willing heart. So our hope is that you leave here inspired, encouraged, and fired up to be the change that you want to see in your community. So today, what we've done, we've shared ideas, we've shared stories, we shared visions, but now it's time for you to turn them all into action. So, but together, y'all, we can work to get everything going, because one act of service, one project, and one heart at a time. So we are the hands and the feet of hope. We're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the work that we do. So we want to continue to impact our communities one project at a time. Thank you all for joining us. And I hope that you have gotten some information to get you started. And join us on our next one, November 12th at 6:30. Thank you all, and thank you, Meredith.
Thank you, Chanel. See y'all. Thank you, everybody that was here. And we hope to talk to you again soon.